What's up, man? I want to talk about Cam Newton's situation and why I think he's not on the NFL roster. It's several reasons why I believe Cam Newton is not on the roster. The first one, and I think the one is very telling in NFL teams, especially with quarterbacks, because quarterbacks, they take up a lot of the salary cap, most of the salary cap. Is his injury history. And Cam Newton is coming off a major foot injury that's kept him sidelined from last year, you know, 90% of the season. And Cam Newton is a, what's up, man? Nah, man, I can't go to sleep. I got to talk about this Cam Newton thing, man, because I just got to just let people know why he's not signed. And some people coming out saying it's a racial thing, that the reason why he's not signed because Andy Dalton got signed to Dallas, and Nick Foles got signed to the Chicago Bears. Both of those situations are different. The Andy Dalton situation is he's a backup. Now, if Dak Prescott doesn't take the contract that Jerry Jones gave him and believe that it's a fair deal for Dak Prescott, now they have an insurance policy in Andy Dalton, which is that's what you're supposed to do as an NFL team. You always supposed, especially in NFL, it's a highly collided in sport, collision sport. Guys get hurt on a drop of a dime, and not many quarterbacks in the NFL can say that they have a former starter that had success at his last team and been to the playoffs. And Andy Dalton is not a bad player. Andy Dalton is a pretty good, pretty decent quarterback when you go back and look at what the man accomplished. He was a two-time Pro Bowler. He's been to the playoffs several times. Now that he hasn't been out the first round, and he has some pretty good quarterback numbers. So that's actually a plus for Dallas, even if they do sign Dak Prescott. Quarterbacks go down all the time. Dak Prescott was injured last year, played through injury last year. So, and in the Chicago situation, this was one thing in NFL where the GM picks the quarterback, right? Ryan Pace drafted Mitch Trubisky. So he's going to give Mitch Trubisky every, um, you know, try to get him every, situation possible for him to succeed. Now, I believe this is Mitch Trubisky probably last year. This year, he has to show and improve in Chicago. And that's why, they didn't bring Cam Newton in there, because he wants the guy that he drafted to succeed so he can, look like a genius. You know what I'm saying? It has something to do with people pride, and now your pride can get in the way of making great decisions. But I'm just telling y'all how it is with these quarterbacks. Especially quarterbacks get a longer leash than any position. The quarterback position will get a longer leash. Especially the Bears moved up, traded draft picks, and picked Trubisky number 2. It's not like they picked Trubisky in the 4th round, 5th round, 6th round, or 7th round. They picked him in the 1st round, second quarterback overall, in the same draft with Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson, which I thought they should have took Deshaun Watson. You know what I'm saying? Patrick Mahomes became what Patrick Mahomes became, but no one was looking at Patrick Mahomes like that. People were looking at Deshaun Watson as being the best quarterback in that draft. You know what I'm saying? But the Bears seen what they seen in Mitch Trubisky, and they moved up and chose him. And that's why Cam Newton is not there, because if Mitch Trubisky have a bad game, the fans of Chicago, they're going to want Cam Newton in the game. So, like I said, Ryan Pace drafted him. He's going to give him every opportunity to fail in Chicago. That's why Cam Newton is not there. Another reason why Cam Newton is not there, uh, Cam Newton, he reported that he came out and said he don't want to be a backup. Now, I understand that. Cam Newton has had a lot of success in the NFL. He actually was the MVP of the league, and took his team to the Super Bowl. So, and he was highly titled coming out of high school. People don't realize he was a backup to Tim Tebow before he left Florida. He went down to Auburn, won a national title. So the man has had success wherever he's went. wherever Cam Newton has been, he had success. So I understand that it will be hard for him to hold a clipboard. It would be hard for a guy like Cam Newton to go from megastar to holding the clipboard. But Cam Newton has had a lot of injuries in his career. You know what I'm saying? It's a long list of injuries because Cam Newton is a highly collision quarterback. Now, I remember, when Cam Newton first came in the league, Cam Newton didn't like the slide. He even admitted that he don't like the slide, that he liked to try to run over the DBs or run over linebackers. But people in the NFL kept telling, see, this is what people keep telling these mobile quarterbacks: you have to use the slide. If you don't slide, you keep taking these hits. Over time, this stuff adds up. That's why Cam Newton in 2014 had a fracture. Now he had a fracture rib in 2014. He In the off season he had injured his back in a car accident. 2016 he had a shoulder rotator cuff surgery. That's not a light surgery, and that's your throwing shoulder. He had another shoulder injury in 2018. He had a knee strain with ligament damage in 2018 also, and then he had the foot injury, which was a major injury. And another thing you got to look at too. He did all them great things in Carolina, right? Brought the fans, in there. It was dapping Cam Newton. Remember that season, his MVP season, going to the Super Bowl. Cam Newton was bigger than life, and he made Carolina popular again since the days of Steve Smith. The receiver Steve Smith was there, and they let him go. So, and he's been trying to get that foot together for a little while now. So maybe they medical doctors looked at it and looked at it and said that it's gonna be tough for him to come back from this foot injury. Cam Newton is looking for a new contract. It is hard for a NFL team to invest a lot of money in Cam Newton. And then another reason why Cam Newton, and people look at other teams, what I'm saying, around the league and say, well, Cam Newton is better than this quarterback, is better than that quarterback. But you got to look at the situations. Like I said, some of these teams have young quarterbacks that they get a lot invested in. And some of these teams like have young quarterbacks they got invested in that they picked in high, in the high in the draft, like Washington. You know what I'm saying? They got Askins there. Like I said, Chicago got Mr. Trubisky there. Miami Dolphins just drafted a quarterback. Who else drafted? Oh, the Bengals. That's why Andy Dalton is not there. They drafted a quarterback, Joe Burrow. So a lot of these teams are turning over, and drafting these quarterbacks higher in the draft. They're not going to bring Cam Newton in. Yeah, Tua. Yeah, Tua from he's in Miami. So a lot of these teams that draft these young quarterbacks, they're not going to bring Cam Newton in. They're just not going to do it. Cam Newton has to understand that he's at a different place in his career. Cam Newton is 30 years old. He's not 22 no more, running over defensive backs, running over linebackers. And let's be honest, man, Cam Newton has never really been a very accurate passer. You know what I'm saying? Cam to the Chargers? Maybe. Maybe. You know what I'm saying? Maybe. Cam Newton has never really been an accurate quarterback. People have been talking about Cam Newton accuracy for a long time. In 2011, Cam Newton threw 21 touchdowns, 17 interceptions. That's not very good. 2012, Cam Newton threw 19 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. 2013, 24 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. 2014, 18 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. 2015 was a great year. He threw 35 touchdowns with only 10 interceptions. He had won an MVP and he went to the Super Bowl. That was a great year for Cam Newton. 2016, he went right back to the old Cam Newton, 19 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. 2017, 22 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. 2018 was a little bit better, 24 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. And, he was hurt in 2019. He had one good year. Yeah, Zone, you're right. He had really one good dominant year. You know what I'm saying? Out of 9 years. That's not That's not, you know what I'm saying, that's not that great. You know what I'm saying? When you looking for a second big contract in your career, no team is going to look at you like that and say, well, I'm gonna bring, and that's another reason too. Cam Newton does not fit a lot of systems. When you build around Cam Newton has some great talents. You know what I'm saying? He's a mobile quarterback. He can extend plays. He can make plays that are not this off script. That's not that okay, if you call a play, he can make plays within that play or beyond that play because of his physical talent. My team is Chicago Bears, but he can make plays beyond his physical talents. Well, he used to be able to do that when he was younger, before he started getting all these injuries and the injuries started piling up. Now Cam Newton is having a problem with finding a team that's going to accept him, and can he get in their system and be, see, to me he was in a vanilla system with Carolina. That they were built around the run and the defense. That's what Carolina was built on. And when Carolina was having success, when Cam Newton would have these bad games, they can rely on the running game and the defense to bail them out of Cam Newton's, when Cam Newton go on that accuracy thing, when he's not throwing the ball as well as he needs to throw the ball. They can sit back and like, okay, we got a great defense, we got a great running game. But now that Cam Newton, he's looking for another team. Now you have to look out there and say, what team? I think Zone pointed out good. The Chargers. The Chargers have that makeup. The Chargers have a great defense. They have a really good running game. He can probably go down there. But but does Carolina offensive coordinator, do he think that they do he think, but that's a highly passing offense. Y'all got to realize that's a highly passing offense. Does Cam Newton have the accuracy to play in that offense? See, that's another thing people are not looking at. You have to look at the personnel. You have to look at the offensive schemes. Football, in football, the offensive schemes and the defensive schemes are so much significant than basketball offensive schemes and defensive schemes, because it's 11 men on each side of the ball on offense and defense. So that stuff has to correlate, and that stuff has to come together like peanut butter and jelly. It has to really come together, or you're not gonna have no cohesiveness. And I don't know if there's any receivers that are chomping at the bit to play with Cam Newton, because he's not accurate. He's not an accurate quarterback, people. He's not an accurate. The guys that that played in Carolina, receivers that played in Carolina, you never really heard about those guys. You know why? Because Cam Newton cannot really make a receiver better, because when a quarterback accuracy is not there, man, it's only so much you can do with that quarterback. It's a good thing that Cam Newton was mobile and he can make plays with his legs, because if Cam Newton could not make plays with his legs, Cam Newton would be a below average quarterback. Let me say that again. Due to Cam Newton's inaccurate passing, if it wasn't for his mobility, he will be a below average quarterback. All you do is go look at the numbers. Go look at the numbers. He has made a lot of plays, extended a lot of plays with his legs, because everybody knows he's a running threat. So, you know what I'm saying? I think the only really offensive weapon that Cam Newton had a really, you know what I'm saying, a lot success with was Greg Olsen, the tight end. You know, a lot of tight ends run, intermediate routes. They don't run a lot of deep routes. So, and a tight end like Greg Olsen is like a security blanket for Cam Newton. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how well Cam Newton reads defenses. You know what I'm saying? There's people, that were saying that Cam Newton doesn't really get into the playbook like he's supposed to. Doesn't study like he's supposed to. Reading these defenses, going through the first, second, and third and fourth progression. In the NFL, a lot of times, good defensive coordinators take away your first two looks. You have to beat a lot of those teams on your third and fourth and sometimes fifth progression. You know what I'm saying? And that's another thing. That stuff See, when Cam Newton was at his physical peak, people will overlook the things that you were not good at or things that you were not taking serious. As soon as you slip, people start looking at that stuff. And now, the things that Cam Newton wasn't doing in Carolina that he was supposed to do, that stuff goes with him when he leaves Carolina. Because trust me, these coaches know each other. A lot of these coaches coach on the same team. Trust me, they are calling Carolina's personnel and people down there that know Cam Newton and asking them, what's the problem? Does he know this? Does he know this? What is he struggling with? What is his weaknesses? What is his strengths? And no, I don't think I think if Cam Newton, you seen you see what Jameis Winston was doing. Jameis Winston came out of Florida State, same as Cam Newton, drafted number one, um, um, won a national title with Florida State, went to Tampa Bay, had some success early, first couple years, and he just started falling off. You know what he did? He accepted a backup role at the Saints, playing behind, learning the game behind Drew Brees. This might be Drew Brees last year, and maybe Drew Brees may play one more year, but at the most, Drew Brees is only going to play 2 more years. Jameis Winston, I believe Jameis Winston is like 27. So Jameis Winston still, has a lot of football ahead of him if he's willing to go down there and learn and sit behind Drew Brees and understand and learn how to be a pro. And he has one of the great offensive minds down there in Sean Payton to learn from. And if Drew Brees retire, he go down there and do what he's supposed to do. Maybe he'll step into that starting role, and maybe Sean Payton can revitalize his career. You know what I'm saying? Because they got good weapons down there in New Orleans. So Cam Newton has to swallow his pride, accept a backup role on a team, go to a team. Cam Newton need to go to a team where he can learn how to play the quarterback position from the pocket. Because gone are the days of Cam Newton being Superman. Remember Cam Newton used to do the Superman? That stuff is over with. He's 30 years old. He's had a lot of hits on that body. And an NFL quarterback, I don't care how big you are, Cam Newton is the biggest quarterback. 6'5", 250, 260, 265. Even he can get broke down in the NFL. So what he needs to do is go to a team, accept the backup role, because no one is going. If somebody wanted to have Cam Newton as a starter, Cam Newton would have been signed by now. Cam Newton has to be self-aware. He has to understand that if somebody really wanted him, Cam Newton would have been signed day one that you can sign free agents. Because a lot of these players talk to the teams even before free agency, the day comes that you can sign people. That's why you see people signing on that day. Nobody signed him, so he had to start reading the tea leaves. Like, man, now he said he don't want to be a backup, then he may not get a job, man. It's reports, people saying that he waiting to see if somebody get hurt during the season. Okay, good luck with that. Good luck with that. But like I said, man, Cam Newton has a lot of things working against him. You know what I'm saying? He has, like I said, he's never really been an accurate quarterback, man. I'm going back to that. Accuracy as a quarterback. A lot of teams will deal with a quarterback that doesn't have a really strong arm for accuracy, for really good accuracy. But, let me know what y'all think, man. Be talk up all these days. Yeah, I'm up. But yeah, Dak may be leaving next year, Zone. You're right. Dak may be leaving. Would you rather have Cam instead of Foley? Will I no? But see, when you say will I rather have Cam or Nick Foles instead of Trubisky? What you have to understand is, in the offense that the Bears want to run, Cam Newton, he's not going to run that offense no better than Trubisky or Nick Foles. The only way I would want Cam Newton if I was getting a prime Cam Newton, a Cam Newton that still, had his legs, a Cam Newton that was still dominant with his mobility. Cam Newton is no longer dominant with his mobility. His mobility helped him a great deal. And once that's gone, that's it. That's it. Once once the mobile quarterback legs are gone and he can't pass the ball with accuracy, he can't go through his progressions, it's over. You know what I'm saying? So, would he be better than Foles or Trubisky in that offense? I don't think so. As bad as people and as bad as I say, at times Trubisky has played, he would not be better in that offense. I don't think he would be better in that offense. I just know he won't be better in that offense. Cam Newton needs a special type of offense built around him. He does. He really does. He needs a strong running game, and he needs a strong defense, and not so complex in the passing game. He needs a really good tight end for his security blanket. So when he doesn't read everything down the field like he should, he can always dump it to his quarterback. But the quarterback, I mean the tight end. But the tight end has to be really good, man. So like I said, name by name, you could say Cam Newton is better than those two. But you know what I'm saying? Look at the numbers. It's like he's not that. He had one really dominant year, and that was the year that he won an MVP and he went to the Super Bowl, and that's out of 9 years. So you know, but anyway, man, let me get out of here, man. I'll speak to y'all tomorrow, man. I'm out.